Hey, what's going on? This is Ryan Leary, William Tincup, and you are listening to the You Should Know podcast. William, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Brian.
It's
And
fantastic
we
to
are
know.
podcasting, which is great.
We are podcasting, and we have a really fun guest. I swear, if we would have just recorded the pre-show,
Oh yeah,
we would have been done
that,
recording, and
100%.
it probably would have been better than the actual episode to come.
Don't say that.
I mean, we're talking about good stuff. We're talking about employees and people feeling underappreciated and undervalued, which is a fantastic topic. But Randi, who's our guest today, is just hilarious, and we should just record it the entire. So Randi, welcome. How are you?
I'm living the dream, my friend.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll kick this thing off.
Sure, happy to. So I have the pleasure to help emerging global tech companies scale, and that's by helping them find the right leadership so that they put in the right systems and processes so that I can create that inspiring culture of belongingness.
Awesome.
I've been very fortunate that I've been able to lead not just public companies, but also fast-growing startups. And I love just creating those high-impact people strategies that really accelerate business performance. I think it's critical that you understand the business and you can help and support the leaders so that you can create a scalable, sustainable growth.
We're going to get to underappreciated in a second, but I wanted to ask you, executives that are hiring their CPOs or CHROs, what are they missing? What questions that should they be asking that they're not? What should they be looking for in a great HR leader?
So I think when you talk to a lot of HR leaders, they're going to understand the people side, but do they really have the business acumen? Do they really understand what the business, how the business makes the revenue, what metrics are important to that business? Because when you focus on the right metrics and you can create that pay for performance culture and create all the employees rowing in the right direction on that, I call it the ghost of Christmas future metric, and you drive business results, everything speaks for itself. So I actually think it's business acumen.
Perfect.
All right, Randi, let's kick this off. I'm going to ask you a question about high potential people, and we'll take it from there. Why do you think so many high potential people still feel overlooked today?
Because I think at the end of the day, my belief is nobody comes to work to say, let me screw up, right? Like nobody does that. But I think it's really important that that high potential person is making an impact, right? You've just called them high potential. So already they're making an impact and they want that impact valued. And it's really important to know the demographics of your hypos because different demographics want and value different things.
Right.
And
Some of
so
it's a pat on the back, some of it's extra days off, whatever. International assignments, whatever drives them.
And sometimes it's public, but don't assume every time it is public.
Sure.
It could just be, here's a $25 gift card. I really saw what you did on that project. You went above and beyond, and I'm thankful. Or I appreciate you taking the client call at 8 o'clock at night. Thank you. Why don't you, go offline at 3 o'clock on a Friday?
Are high potentials labeled as high potentials? Like, do they know that they're high potentials?
Good organizations would identify them and employees.
The organization knows who they are, but do they know who they are?
I think high potentials are very critical of themselves. They're always striving and they're always trying to do more. And so they'll always be harder on themselves and always be aspiring more. And so while, yes, they may know that they have that label, it's usually not good enough. And so a lot of high potentials will also have what I call career promoters that they've nurtured and built in the organization. And I think it's critical for those career promoters to support that high potential because some of those high potentials, they want a challenging project. And other times those high potentials just want to also be on a team that they enjoy the people that they work for. So I think it's never just a one size fits all. for any of them. But I think you can also have different types of high potential. So there could be some high potential that have the aptitude, but because of life circumstances, maybe they're not looking for that extra hard project. They just want the safety and freedom to excel in their current job, give it 110% for their 40 hours, but be able to support themselves outside also.
Might be a controversial take, but I think organizations that label them as high potentials, meaning the employee knows they're a hypo, they fall again. Some of them are going to just succeed, be critical, do all those things that you mentioned, but some of them are like kids that are labeled gifted and talented.
They fall off. Yeah.
It gets in their head. It's like, oh, I'm at a gifted and talented program. I'm obviously gifted and talented, and it's like it's harmful because they don't strive as much because they think it's the world's going to come to them because they're gifted and talented. And I've seen this with hypos in organizations myself, is they think they're a tier above because the employer has said they're a tier above.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of them, again, like you just stated, they take that on and just keep going. You can't stop them.
Right.
They're going to go
They're
and be
grinding.
successful. Yeah, they're going to be successful no matter what you do or whatever title. But the word potential itself is a compliment under the age of 30.
Yes.
It is not a compliment at 31.
Because you're a late bloomer at that point. You've already.
No, you just potential is actually offensive.
I don't know
It's
about
actually
that. I
what?
wouldn't take
Oh,
offense to that.
yeah, you would. Or well,
Yeah.
you should.
Well, I think I'm a lot older than 30, and if someone said that you're a hypo, I'd be like, well, of course, because
Yeah. I just expect that I am at this
yeah,
point. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, them saying you have potential
Yeah. I don't know.
it's a backhanded compliment at best. It's really offensive if you
Okay.
really think about it, because your potential. And
That's an
again,
interesting take, William. I
I'm
have to
just
say,
saying at a certain age, I don't want to hear about potentiality. Like
you just want the label that you're a top performer.
100%.
Yeah. I can
Or
get.
that I'm wonderful or great or any other adjectives that you want to throw in there that are wonderful.
Yeah.
But the thing is potential is one of those deals for me. When you're under 30, and you can make it at 35 or 40, I don't care. The point is,
I
there's
mean,
an
at that.
age marker that says you have your whole life in front of you. You have potential.
Well, but at that point, then that's just offensive to everybody, right? I
No,
mean,
not with
no.
you. Not when you're 14.
Well, no, okay, yeah, but we're talking like in your 20s. I would still, if I'm taking
Yeah.
offense to it at
I
30,
know.
I would
Yeah,
do that. Yeah. How do you?
If
So,
you're in your 20s and someone says you have potential, that's fantastic. That's a compliment.
I would agree that it's a compliment.
There's a
Even
there's a time, there's a moment where it's a law of diminished returns. It stops being a compliment. And
so
y'all can think about it.
this is a hot take. At the end of the day, do you consider every hypo a top performer?
No,
no.
not at all. Not at all.
I
But
agree with you. I
two
agree.
different things.
Yes.
High performers are easily measured, usually,
Yes.
because we'll just use sales as an example for a high performer. Quota eats quota, not a problem. That's a high performer. Now, do they have potential
To
to
be a
do?
leader.
And in sales, we often know that no, they don't.
Yes. Correct.
So it's a Venn diagram, right? So
Yeah.
there's high performers, high potentials, and there's an overlap in the middle.
So, Randy, do you treat? I'm interested as we're talking about this. Do you treat high potentials different than regular employees? And do you treat top performers different than the regular employees or even high
Oh,
potentials?
that's a great
Do they
question.
get preference? Do you put them in different tracks? Do you make sure that they feel better? How do you handle that?
So I'm a firm believer in matching the rewards with the impact. So like as much as the employee is delivering to the business results, I want that employee to feel that love. And so that's the pay for performance. So our end of year and mid year cycle, we look at who's ready to be promoted and we give people that opportunity. I think it's important for organizations to do that more than once a year. And doing it
Great.
twice a year, I feel like is just the right special sauce. Quarterly, it actually becomes too frequent, and you need to let some business you need to let them have some time to make the impact so it's more measurable. And I firmly believe that if you don't have more than a 2% spread between your top performers and your core performers, you're not doing your pay for performance correctly. I think hypos, there could be times where they don't see that outsized like reward because they haven't had the opportunity to demonstrate that performance. And I'm a firm believer that I'm not going, I need them to deliver the results for me before I deliver the rewards. So I want to see the impact to the business.
Is it both? Is it both a carrot and a stick for you?
So with the high post too, I would also want to ensure there's some type of IDP or
Right.
individual development plan, like so that there's some type of whether it's because I work in a like a mid-sized organization, so I'm not always going to have every opportunity inside. So if I'm making sure that there's also outsized opportunity, um, so that they can continue to learn and grow. Because without the curiosity and without giving them opportunities to flex a bit, you're not, and that's not fair.
What do you think about skills as it relates to appreciated or underappreciated today?
So I think skills are important, but I'll always say I'll hire somebody that's smart and motivated.
Right.
Because if you're motivated, you're going to want and put energy and effort. And if you're smart, coupled with that motivation, you're going to figure it out.
So I was
So,
when I was hiring a lot, it was real close to that. There's three things: smart, passionate, and ambitious. I can't teach passion. I can't teach ambition. And I can't teach smart. If you go back to the 60s, after JFK said we're going to put a person on the moon, a man on the moon by the end of the decade, all those companies, General Dynamics, NASA, all those companies, all they did was hire really smart people. They didn't even have job titles. They just hired smart people and then said, okay, fail fast.
yes.
Okay, so if that engine blew up, come in, have some champagne, have a little bit of cake, and then, okay, now we know that that engine didn't work. And you go on to the next thing. They just hired smart. And again, if you
And
pair
now,
that with what you were saying, it's you know, you can get to an outcome with a smart person. I'm not saying that people that aren't smart or aren't motivated aren't useful in the organization. They are. They're just not as useful.
Well,
That's all.
there's a
There's a
role. You
role.
still need day to day, but if you don't have a couple people that you can pull in to solve challenging problems,
Yeah.
you're gonna struggle.
I
every
did a
organization needs a C player straight across
I
the board.
Ryan, I did a speech in the Cayman Islands on how treating employees differently is the proper way, cookie cutter way of HR treating everybody the same way is dumb. And treating, you know, like Michael Jordan, the case example was Michael Jordan and BJ Armstrong. So would you ever imagine a world where BJ Armstrong was treated just like Michael Jordan or Michael Jordan was treated like BJ Armstrong?
No,
No.
no.
So why do we do it at work?
Yeah, that is a great point, my friend.
So why do we use that? Everyone's got to have the same onboarding process. Everyone's got to have the this, that, and the other. No, they don't.
But this is where it goes back to leadership, my friend. Like
Yeah.
leadership is so important because HR may identify, the top talent, but leaders are responsible for creating the day-to-day environment.
Right.
And if they don't see them or that employee, they're not talking that same language, I'm gonna lose that employee, that hypo.
When you hear, but we talked about potential. When you hear the phrase hiring for potential, what do you think about?
So immediately what comes to mind is I'm hiring for somebody that, to use William's password, is passionate, that's curious, that has some experience or there's some indicators in their past that are going to denote future success. Um, and I think discipline is actually really important. I think discipline gets used in a negative connotation, but I actually think discipline is very positive. And I think discipline propels people out of ruts. It propels people to greater success. When you apply discipline, not just at your work life, but with your personal life too, it impacts how you show up. And that then transcends into everything.
I think the word that's slowly replacing potentiality is resilience.
Yes, the
You
resilient mind.
you know that you've got to have, because especially with all the technological changes that are coming, you've got to have people that can deal with ambiguity, consume ambiguity, and you've got to have people that are super resilient, meaning they can deal with change
Yes.
and they can consume change. The days of yesteryear where you had to like really communicate and talk about change and get, kind of warm them up, so to speak, and then move them through a process. We don't have time for that shit.
No. And I will say, like, particularly in the startup world, if you're not resilient, you'll
Yeah. Oh my
the
God. Yeah.
at the end of the day, you don't just need to want to see change, you need to embrace the change.
Right.
And it's also the story that you're telling yourself to help you get there. You know, we were doing some leadership training the other day, and one of the leaders, it's all the stories that we're then telling our employees to kind of bring them along on the journey. It's like, yes, we failed here, but that's a
Yeah.
good thing because
Yeah.
now we know that
Fail
that's not going to
fast.
work. But the good news is this is our new path, and we may fail to here again, but we got to go at it.
Well, you just strike the might. We will fail again. In fact, if we don't fail, we're not innovating. We're not
Yes.
pushing hard enough.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there's this culture of celebrating failure and doing postmortems and communicating that and being transparent with people. It's like, listen, if we're going to fail, come on now, when we fail, and then getting people to understand that you're going to fail too. It's
And
okay.
but I think what I see, particularly in my organization, is the trust in senior leadership gets eroded on our engagement surveys when we pivot
Right.
significantly. And so I think then what I'm trying to now do is put more communication channels in so employees hear the pivots multiple times, not just at one point.
Yeah.
So it's consistent.
Is it the pivot that's causing the lack of trust or the erosion of trust, or is it the communication and them
I think
understanding?
there's always a myriad of things. It's never just one
Yeah.
particular thing. I think when you don't hear and you see results are not positive, you immediately go, yikes, and you get fearful, right? But so you need to replace the fear with transparency. What is actually happening? If you like open the curtains, if you will, and like just show what's happening behind the scenes, I think that's how you gain trust because
To
leaders,
to to a point. So I did this bit on first company where people were asking about the books and they were asking about revenue and costs and all this stuff. I made the mistake of actually pulling everyone together and going through, QuickBooks.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, that was the worst idea ever because employees, especially younger employees, they can't understand, they can't conceptualize the trade-offs that you have to make. We could buy 10 more computers or we could do this in marketing. They don't understand those trade-offs. So I do believe
oh,
that
to a point, yeah. No, I'm not looking to like all the laundry doesn't need to go out, but
no, that's
the
it. That's it.
understanding and the
100%.
justification of why we are pivoting and why we're
100%.
optimistic about this pivot is
Right.
important.
And I think, the pivot gets a kind of a bad rap.
Hmm.
It's all you're doing is refocusing the business on how the changing market is, how your customers are changing, how they need something from you different. You can call that a pivot, or you could just be called that, yeah, we're following our customer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I think sometimes the word pivot for employees is loaded or it's triggering in some ways. It's like, yeah, we didn't make a mistake per se. Our customers, we thought they wanted this. Turns out they want this. Okay.
Pivot has a negative connotation to it, for
Yeah.
sure. It definitely does. Randy, where in your career did you get the feeling? Where did you feel undervalued? When did it
Oh,
hit you?
snap.
And we're gonna go
Yep.
personal here. I
God.
want to pull out the
And
feeling.
if you don't want to name names, not the where, when did you feel like
Yeah.
what was the
I
bid? I
kind of
don't,
feel like Randy wants to name the names and call them
okay.
out, but
Hey,
you know.
No,
cool.
there's no need to.
There's no need to do that.
I have to be honest with you. I am so fortunate and I'm so blessed and grateful that I knew HR was my jam before it was called the personnel department. Okay.
Oh
There
yeah.
was
Oh
no
Mhm.
yeah.
HR courses. You can get a degree in HR, right? So that's how old I am. Have been very, very fortunate that every organization I went to, and I was not a job hopper. So I spent 10 years at one place, and that VP of HR took me under her wing and took me from a generalist to a director. And I am so grateful that she saw potential in me. And there wasn't an HR system, a policy, like any of that, that I was not part of building. Um, so I actually feel really grateful that I've had very, very strong career promoters and people that saw potential in me and gave me opportunities. And even when I was, at Channel Advisor, when I was promoted to be their head of HR, the CEO just asked me to come to his office and said, the job is yours. So I feel really grateful that, the leaders have seen how I approach the function and appreciate and given me opportunities.
Without any context, it's probably because you're likable, smart. No,
Thank you,
seriously.
William. Can I like right?
See
The
now,
delivery.
Randy, that was a backhanded compliment to me, saying
No,
you're
it
a good
wasn't.
dude, but you probably have a
I'm
lot of undervalued experiences.
Ryan, see, that's going
seriously.
to be the Randy William podcast.
I'm
Dude,
telling you.
seriously, it's one of these deals. Half the people that meet me like me, half of them hate me. My
Well,
wife, 100% likability.
that's good.
Mhm.
I
That's
am not. I'm an acquired taste. So
that's my saying, William. I say I'm a great cup of tea, but I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
that's right. But I think if as you look through your career, the people that have helped you along the way, but also they've seen, you said potentiality, but they've seen something in you that they really like. And again, being likable, we don't talk about it enough. Being
I
likable
agree
is
with
that
that.
is a mechanism of delivery. I'm going to tell you some bad news. I'm here to fire you, Jerry. I'm going to tell you some bad news, but it's going to be in a way that sets you up for success in your next greatest adventure.
I've had people hug me
Yeah,
after I've let them go.
yeah.
This is where, William, I was saying earlier, right? Like at the end of the day, yes, I'm here, I support the company, but my firm belief is that I can be just as respectful to that employee.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't have to be cold. It doesn't have
no,
to
and
be
the day that I can fire somebody and not have a pit in my stomach is the day I need to leave my profession because
agreed.
I'm impacting somebody's livelihood and I take that very seriously.
It's the same thing for actors and musicians. When you step on stage, you've got to have a little of anxiety, little butterflies. If
Yes,
you don't, it's really time to stop.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
that's good, Brian. It looks like you're in close up mode.
I am not in close up mode. No, no, I could
Kind of
talk
looks like.
forever. I mean, if we need to close out, we can close out. There's a high potential that we don't have to. No, just
Nice.
saying. No, so I do have a final one final question, and I like to ask this question of people who sit at the top of people and hiring. The hiring process isn't perfect.
No,
No.
it's not.
Understatement.
If I don't want to do the magic wand question, but if
Right.
you could build it Randy style, what would
Yep.
the hiring process? I know we don't have like 6 hours.
No,
I
What would it look
I have
I
a
like?
like
magic
that
wand.
one. I like
I
that
have.
one. So I create a very simple process. You don't need to overcomplicate it,
Right.
but I think what's key within like obviously there needs to be a recruiter screen, there needs to be a hiring manager screen, and then when we get to the interviews, I'm a firm believer that you need to see the company values demonstrated. And so I'm asking behavioral based interview questions because the behavior, the values are so important to me. I want to understand and see those candidates able to to display the behaviors. And so that's critical for me. And that's something that I've implemented in my current organization. And I also think if you can't make a decision on a candidate, do not make them do 7 interviews. Cut them
Yeah.
loose. Cut
Yeah.
them loose.
Yeah.
Like, because it's the respect doesn't just go to the employee, it also goes to the candidate. It starts at when they applied. And so I don't think a long process is important, but I think it's the questions that you're asking the candidates and making sure the interview team is diverse and you're getting good perspectives so that and cross functionally so the person is being set up for success when they come in. Super, super important. And if you don't know what you're hiring for, then you don't need a rack as well. Like, so I think you have to be crystal clear on why is this person coming into the organization, asking them behavioral based interview questions, keeping the process short, and giving them the opportunity to meet a lot of folks so they understand what's going to be expected when they show up so that they can be successful.
Drops mic, walks off stage. Thank you so much, Randy. This has been wonderful.
Thank you. I had so much fun. So appreciate the invite.
There you
And
go.
I'll see you guys in Sherm.
That's right.
Will.
The Sherms.
The Sherbs.